are you, and why do we care?
My name is Matt Grayson again. I'm the director of athletics and rackets here at the Ansley Golf Club. I've been here for about 13 years. I went to Baylor University for college. I've been kind of an Atlanta native. That's an oddity for Atlanta. My whole family's from here. My parents went to Georgia. We were big UGA fans, and until Baylor came knocking to had the opportunity to go there. I was one of the few in our family that didn't go to Georgia. Been in Atlanta teaching tennis for now since 1995. So you can do the math. I won't tell you how old I am. I'll let you guys figure that part out. But that's kind of who I am, and I've been doing this for quite a while now. But been in the Atlanta area the entire time.
I love it. And Bobby, of course, you're going to bring up TCU and Baylor, but we're going to try to switch that. And I may cut out here and there. I can see that I'm trying to reconnect. But next question, Matt, talk to us about your club. Talk to us about where you are. Director of Rackets there. What is interesting about that club? What's unique about you and where you are?
So Ansley's a pretty unique club just because of how active it is. We're smacking downtown Atlanta. So we're right in the middle of everything. So space is always a problem for us. But it is one of the most active clubs I've ever seen. Most of our members live within 3 miles of the club. We have about 1,600 member families that belong to our club. So you do the math out on that, that's probably 5,000 members. And most of them live within 3 miles. We even have 3 shuttles that will come to your house if you live within a certain radius of the club, and they will come get you and bring you to the club because parking is such a problem. So it almost have our own little mini Uber system for the club to get members here. So they are here all the time. We have so many tennis players that we have to rent courts over at Bitsy Grant, a public facility not far from here, to house all of our Ansley Thursday and Sunday Alta teams. So we rotate who plays here at Ansley, who has to go over to Bitsy for some of their matches. Being that I'm in charge of the wellness, that also includes youth care, fitness, swim team, pool. We kind of joke here that I'm in charge of everything but golf and food. So, that's a big part of what Ansley is, but it is one of the most active memberships I've ever seen. Since I've worked at other clubs in Atlanta, when I came here, it was just amazing to me that if I just sent out about one email and said, hey, we're going to have something going on this Friday, you'd have about 40 people sign up for an event in about 5 minutes. So I've never seen a club that was so easy to get things going and moving just because everybody here lives so close and is so active, even though we're smack in the middle of downtown Atlanta.
And so, Bobby, talk to Matt about the differences. The interesting thing here with this kind of club, being in Atlanta, that kind of membership, it's different. We have different types of directors of tennis and different types of clubs. How different is that from what Bobby does on a daily basis from a director standpoint? Bobby's got potentially similar numbers with access to his club, but Bobby, what does that look like from where you are versus where Matt is?
Well, I'll ask Matt right away. How many hours a week do you spend on court?
On court, I really try to stay at about, 12 to 15 hours at the most for me personally. Now, even though we're only an 8-court facility with tennis, we have 3 permanent pickleball courts on top of that. We have 6 full-time tennis professionals and a full-time pickleball pro to go with that. So we're teaching, that much here, and all the other pros teach, between 30, 32 hours a week of their schedule. So because I'm in charge of so many other things, I try not to be on the court more than that. Actually, the club would rather me be on the court only 10 to 12 hours a week, honestly.
So I think that's the number one, the biggest difference, Shaun, is you see the bigger clubs, as he's director of athletics, his responsibilities go beyond where the guys like me, who, like you said, might have the numbers, but we're still, most of our money is made on court and through the programming that we run. And we have a hard time, as we always talked about, with scale. And then we have to deal with the guys from Ansley who come and take our pros too, because he was taking Greg Kasha from me back in the day as well. I have to lend out my boy to everybody throughout Atlanta. So, it makes it hard.
He did a good job for us as one of our part-time guys. We have to bring in part-time guys every now and then too. We have so many people that come through here during Alta season. So that's, we add a couple part-time guys on top of those 6 full-time guys as well.
Yeah, Greg's a good guy, but and that's the hard part. That's what we were talking about. How do we clone these guys and share them? Because it is hard for the other clubs to scale. But I think it's great with what's going on. Obviously, inner city Atlanta, that much tennis participation. Obviously, the people at Bitsy must love you as well, because they're probably making a good deal of money off of what you're bringing through Bitsy.
Yeah, they get court time from us every season, and they know we're going to pay the court time. They know the check's going to clear, and they know we're going to pay it every season. So we're guaranteed, court time every single off season for the 4 teams that we play out of there. We have 1 on Sunday and 3 on Thursday. So they love it. So we try to keep up a good relationship with whatever management company is running the city courts at that time. So They do like it, and it works for us too because it's one of the few clay court facilities that we can use clay courts to play on since our members are used to playing on clay over here. So works well for us as well.
And Shaun, real quick, as I know we're out of time, but I feel like I'd be remiss that Matt is one of the last, I don't know what the graduates of the Country Club of Roswell director of tennis machine that used to be helmed by Cindy Jones. That if you wanted to become a director in in Metro Atlanta, you had to go pay your dues with Cindy Jones and Matt Wilson Tennille. They were on quite the roll back in the late '90s, early thousands with who they were producing. So kudos to Cindy for all the great people that she put out into Metro Atlanta tennis for us.
Yeah, Cindy actually hired me to be the head pro at Country Club of Roswell. Knowing she was coming up on retirement, she brought me in and said, "Hey, if you come in, be the head pro for a couple years. When I move out, I want you to move in and be the director here." So that's kind of like she brought me in to kind of take her spot when she was leaving. So that's how I got to Country Club of Roswell and then became the director there.
And
She
that
had a
brings us
long
to that
roll of, I
wider
guess,
that
7 or 8 guys that ran pretty big clubs around Atlanta for quite a while.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And so the wider question, Matt, that says, okay, what have you seen in the last 30 years? Because from a country club standpoint, there's a difference, there's growth. There's certain clubs that produce great training for country club pro types. But what is there are there differences in the last 30 years? Is it all just the same? What do we see that's changed in that time?
So there is a lot of difference. Kind of what we've talked about this past weekend. We just had our board of directors retreat where our board of directors and our department heads all went away for the weekend and did a big planning retreat for all of next year. And some of the conversation was because, especially in downtown, there's been a big resurgence, but because tennis itself, since COVID's shot up 30, 35, sometimes 40%, depending on where you are, it's been a huge resurgence. So as a club at Ansley, we have a 7-year wait list right now. Like we're full. We cannot take any more members. We have about a 7-year wait list. So what's happened is now dues go up. Like the initiation fees of all the clubs have gone up. I mean, there's a lot of clubs in downtown Atlanta that have a $150,000 initiation fee. So we joke you have to pay that $150,000 to get to have the privilege of getting a bill in the mail every month to be able to stay a member, right? So what it used to be that when those things were smaller and people were getting into clubs at a much more affordable rate, they came into the club and it was more of like, hey, what can I do to help my club be better? They were much more of like they wanted to join, wanted to be on the board, wanted to be on the committees, and they wanted to be more of that a part of that club. And you still have some people that way, but I think you have a lot more people that are joining clubs now saying, "Hey, we just paid $150,000 to be a member of this club, and now I got to pay dues every month. What is the club going to do for me on day one?" So I think there's a little bit of difference of attitude, and then we understand why. I mean, if you're paying that much, that's reasonable, but it is a very different feeling in some of the clubs. Some of the clubs have still held on to that family feel, and I think Ansley is one of those. They talk about being the Ansley family, and it's not a kind of a stiff kind of club. It's pretty very laid back, kind of family feeling place. But there are a lot of clubs that have gotten much more stiff and a lot more hard to manage membership expectations when they come in because of those high initiation fees and more member expectations and more to the fact of we don't want to do things to be a part of the club. We want the club to do things for us. I manage the swim team. It used to be that a lot of the clubs in Midtown, they always had swim team committees and the parents volunteered and were all staffing up the swim meets and they had to do all their volunteer hours. We still have that here. But I know of several in-town clubs that now have no parent volunteer hours. They staff the entire swim meet and they pay people to run the entire swim team where the parents just drop the kids off and that's it. So you're starting to see more of that, which is a change, which because of dual working families and things like that, that they're expecting more support, not having them be more plugged in. So that is a little bit of a change, and I understand why. It's not a rip on people. It's not saying it's better or worse, but it is a feel sometimes depending on the club and depending on what your demographic is of membership.
Bobby, go ahead and give me the answer. What would you say when Windermere came to you and said, "We'd like you to also run the swim team, please"?
I think it's easier just for me to look at it and say that what Matt just described is why Ken Andriano is at Atlanta Country Club and I'm not at Atlanta
I
Country
thought
Club.
about that too. Yes.
It's about fit, and you have to be the right person to whatever your qualifications are, it has to be the right fit. And when that was all happening, I just looked in the mirror and said, I'm not the right fit for this. And Ken doesn't do nearly what Matt does. And nothing against Ken. I love Ken to death, but there's still his Matt's membership. How many out the teams do you have play at it? Let's say this fall season, how many players were teams were out of Ansley?
So we had 7 Sunday teams. We had 11 Thursday teams. I believe it's 6 junior teams this season and 2 senior teams. We ran our men's league is an in-house league that we run. We have about 90 guys on our men's in-house league that we run internally, and we also have a women's pickleball league on Wednesday nights. And about 90 ladies in our in-house pickleball league we run on Wednesday nights. So we do some things in-house as well.
So
But I think what happens is on that programming part, like the reason all the athletics directors and why that's kind of become a thing is tennis pros have always been really good at programming, right? We come up with different programs. We come up with things to get the membership engaged. And the club sees those things and they go, hey, there's not as much program, there's not as much member engagement in the fitness center. So they look to the pro and say, hey, you've done a good job of getting people on the tennis courts. Pros are kind of like trainers. They teach people how to play tennis. The trainers kind of teach people how to work out. Can you help program that area? So you start getting people to come to fitness classes. You start getting people to go on group runs. You program people to go run the Peach Tree together, and you put together programming there. Hey, that's going better now. We're generating more revenue in the fitness area because the program is put together. Tennis is making more money because you put things there. And then they go, hey, well, you've done that. Can you do programming at the pool? And that starts going better. They go, hey, we need some programming in the youth care department. Can you program there? Well, so once you show people you do better with programming, they start coming to you to program all these different areas. And I think that's why a lot of tennis directors and racket sports directors now, wherever you want to say, depending on what your club is, are getting asked to do more of this stuff because they're proving their worth as a programmer. And so the clubs reach out to you to help program in all those different areas that may be lacking in programming in the past.
And Matt, I think you're doing yourself an injustice there. Not only the programming, but you're the person on the ground and you're very approachable and you are the person, for better or worse, that most of the people will reach out to when there's a problem, no matter what hat you're wearing. Kudos to Ansley to realize that and say, okay, this should be our point person, because, creativity doesn't necessarily fall into, but I still want to talk to this person. There's been a lot of obnoxious creative people, but the fact that you're very approachable and makes it where the people want to talk to you, then it's a win-win. And again, Ansley was smart enough to see that and build on it. I just hope there's enough hours in the day for you.
Sometimes there are, and sometimes there's not, but it all ends up working out pretty well.
Well, and you've got a cool event coming up at your club now, Matt. Well, I say now, we got to get this published before it comes out. We just dated our conversation, but November 9th, you've got RacquetX coming in. Talk to us about that. I've been surprised there isn't more buzz about it in Atlanta. So hopefully we can get this out and create some buzz for you.
Right. So RacquetX is a big rackets conference that they hold down in Miami every year. And it's a big convention. They tied it to a big padel tournament this year. They have a big trade show that goes on and it covers tennis, padel, ping pong, you name it. Anything with rackets in it, it's down there. And they did a new thing this year where they had a day where it was all about clubs and the tennis industry. And they had people speaking on it and different panels of people you could ask questions to. And because that went so well, they paired together this year with the Directors Club of America, and they created a city series. And they went to Philadelphia first. They went out to LA. They've now been to Austin. They just wrapped that one up. And now they're planning on coming to Atlanta for the 4th and final stop. So at Ansley, we're going to host that Atlanta stop on November the 9th. And they bring in industry people from all over the place. They're going to bring in people to talk about padel, some pickleball people, some tennis people, some people outside the tennis industry that are going to have some good insight to just business acumen, talk about things that are happening in the industry overall. I know they've had, Brian Dillman spoke at one of them, I believe, and they've brought in, guys that are part of the Directors Club of America to speak. They brought in different GMs to help give different perspectives from different clubs to the guys that come listen to it. So we're waiting on that finalized speaker list to come in, but that's the kind of people they brought to speak here. So it's really geared towards directors of programming and GMs and industry people of the rackets industry to really kind of help talk about what's happening in our rackets world and try to get more information out to everybody about the changes and things that are coming and the trends that everybody's seeing. So we're excited to host that and be the Atlanta stop for them on the 9th. So that's that Sunday, and we're looking at the exact time, but somewhere between like that 9 to 5 kind of time that day. So it'll be a daytime event that Sunday.
Yeah, and I'll be there. I'm moderating one of the conversations there about getting attention in a world of FOMO, and go figure, we're the podcast people, right? So getting attention is something we're actually pretty good at. But it'll be a good day because I think it's a fairly unique event. And like I said, I don't know that there's a lot of buzz yet, and hopefully that will grow to get the attendance that everybody's looking for, it's a fairly targeted audience for attendance. It's general managers, directors, club owners. They're not really sending out the invitation to anybody who isn't at, I'd say at least, but at least a director of racket sports.
Right. They're not trying to go to just the guy that's just trying to be an independent teaching pro, because there's what they're going to be talking about wouldn't really apply if you're not going. If your goal is just to, you know, come and teach in a neighborhood and put balls in the back of your car and teach, which there's a lot of those guys in Atlanta that do very well and are very good at that. But it's not geared to what those guys do on a daily basis. What they're going to talk about is not the newest drill, how to coach ladies, what doubles tactics are out there. None of that will be discussed. It's going to be more about the management side, how to run a club, what club owners are looking for, trends in ownership, trends in club management. So it's going to be that level of ideas and talking points. So it wouldn't be geared towards just teaching and junior development and those kind of things.
Less of like our local workshops that we do a lot, because we've also got like the RSPA is doing a workshop in early December, which I think is more on court. It's more targeted to, say, the boots on the ground type that are out teaching lessons and want to get better at coaching. So in that case, we've got that in coming up November 9th. You say that's a Sunday. I'm excited about that one. I was thinking it'd be a neat thing. Neat is such a boring word. I apologize. It'd be a great thing to bring in every year. Is this the kind of thing, you're a DCA member as well, I think. So is this the kind of thing they're going to try to
Yes.
do in Atlanta a lot? Are they going to pick another 4 cities next year? Is this a pilot program? Do you know?
This is the first year they've ever done it. It was a new pilot program this year. Robin heads up RacquetX and Jarrett does Directors Club of America. I haven't heard them talk about next year. But I know that so far the first 3 stops have gone well, and they've been happy with what's come out of it. So, once this stop in Atlanta comes through, I'm sure they'll talk about it and figure out what they wanna do for next year and see if they want to expand this offering or see what happens. But I haven't heard anything from them yet, but I know they're just trying to get through these 4 stops because it takes a lot to coordinate all these 4 places and get that going. So, they just finished Austin, I think, last week. And so they're turning right back around in Atlanta. So now they got their hands full. So I'm sure once we wrap up Atlanta, there'll be some discussion about what they want to do going forward.
Yeah, they're not involving me in that conversation, but it's probably a smart thing to do, which is keeping next year. Let's worry about next year after we finish this year at some level, especially if you're doing something for the first time. You say you've been at Ansley for over a decade. You've probably already got next year all planned.
Pretty much. We just went away for the weekend with the entire board of directors to talk about all the budgeting and all the planning for next year. So there's always a few curveballs we throw in there and things we try to add to the calendar, but we pretty much have 26 kind of wrapped up as far as at least our programming side for us. I know Robin's working on changing some things about the RacquetX conference that they do. I think they're going to try to hold it maybe in a little bit different possible location next year, but I don't know what that is. I think she's still trying to finalize all those things. So I don't want to, talk out of turn and say it's the wrong place. But I know that there's some discussion about what they want to do. So, I know there's some changes they're trying to do and make it even bigger and better for everybody. So we'll see. But I know that they're doing a great job of trying to keep it fresh and new. And Robin's an idea person. Every time I sit down and talk to her, she's throwing out 12 different things and asking like, "What would you do this? Would you do this?" And so she will never run out of ideas it doesn't look like. So I think it'll always have some new and fresh feel to it. So I know that she's always got something in her head planned. I just don't know what all those things she's confirmed yet. So it will continue to grow and move.
Yeah, and ideas
Well, we just
ideas
have to
are it's easy. Go ahead, Bobby.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. We have to remind Robin that she lives an hour away from downtown Atlanta, that you should think of us first. And I was
Not
also
far from
privy
us.
to be. I didn't say a word, and believe it or not, I went in a whole entire hour on a conversation, and I did not speak, but I listened, and just an amazing what they've done and what they have to do to put on that weekend conference and the cost associated with it. It is an unbelievable undertaking. So, and she, like Matt said, they are trying to figure out ways. And I would say this, anything that came out of the conversation, because we always talk about it, that since paddle and pickleball are the new kids in town, and with new usually means more companies are willing to spend money to try to make their brand the recognizable brand, that they kind of had a big paddle and pickleball platform associated with them, but they realize the importance of tennis as well and are trying to pivot and get more tennis involvement and get more tennis exhibitions and whatever they can for the consumer. Because that was the fun part. They use like B2B and B2C and I'm sitting there saying, okay, what does B2B mean? Oh, business to business, cool. All right, what is business B2C? Oh, business to consumer, cool. So they use all those great words, and you sit there. So like I said, I was very impressed. It was great to be a part of that call, just to listen. And I'm a big fan of Rob. I was tracking Robin for about 6 months and finally found a way to get her to at least answer my text. And it was great to hear what's going on. So I'm excited when I read that they were coming to Ansley, because and I'm a big Jarrett fan as well, because I think what he did with pickleball, he was so far ahead of the curve there that he was smart enough to leave Maryland or wherever he was to go to Texas. So again, I'm all for anytime you can make that switch. I'm all for that as well. So I think they
Yep.
got some really good
I
people
heard someone
involved.
describe those three sports with pickleball and tennis and pickleball. I mean, with padel, and it was kind of a neat thing. They said, hey, if you want to compare those three racket sports to like auto racing, they said pickleball is kind of like dirt track racing. Everybody can get into it. It's pretty cheap to try it out, and you can figure out if you like it or not. Right? Tennis is like NASCAR. There's big events. There's big money in it. There's sponsorships. It's been there for a long time, and it's gonna stay. It's not going anywhere. And padel is like Formula One. That's where the money is. That's where the new sponsors are going. That's where the flash is. That's where the kind of the sexy part of the sport is. And that's where people are kind of moving to, and where the TV and all the advertising and kind of the movie rights are going to, right? So I thought that was a pretty good comparison of sports, a different sport to where the rackets are, was comparing race car driving to the rackets world.
Bobby, I'm sure you're going to steal that. So write that down so we don't forget, right? That's a good one. I like that.
I love the Formula One one. Not knowing that Apple's looking to put money into Formula One, I'm like, that. Hey, that makes a lot of sense. So
Yes, it
I
does.
like it.
So, Bobby, you got anything else for Matt before I hit him with King of Tennis?
No, I'm happy listening.
Okay. Matt, anything else you want to talk about? Because you know the King of Tennis question is coming. But anything else you want to mention? We talked about the RacquetX. We talked about Ansley. We've caught up on you and who you are, and some industry trends. Got anything else interesting that's been on your mind recently you want to discuss?
No, I think we covered most of the things. I think that's really good.
Okay. Then I will jump to King of Tennis. And this one is my favorite question. I love it. I love ending with it. I think it's a lot of fun. But if I ask you and I say, if you were king of tennis, whether it was the whole world, social, professional, any version of tennis, whatever it is, whatever scope you can picture, if you were king of tennis, is there anything you would do or change?
I did think about that question when you asked it to me. And I tried to think like, well, do I go real big, or do I kind of think smaller to our market? And if it's real big, I think it's got to be that we make it a little more, a little more fun. I think the intense tennis that was here in Atlanta did kind of bring that out with the music that was playing and the lights and the kind of the sound that with it. It kind of fits a little bit better with some of the younger generation people coming up that are looking for more excitement and not to quiet and sit real still the whole time. But I kind of landed on, hey, if I had to change something in the market where I am, if I'm in the Atlanta market and I got to be king of the Atlanta market for a day, what I would say is we've got to cull out one, and I won't play favorites. I'll let somebody else decide which one. We got to cull out one of the seasons of either Alta or USTA. Because right now, the problem that I see with it is we have spring, summer, winter, fall, right? We play year round, and everybody's coming in for lessons. Everybody's coming in to try to improve, but everybody comes in on Tuesday to improve for their match on Thursday. Everybody comes in on a Wednesday and says, I got to be good by Thursday. They come in on Friday. I got a match on Saturday. I got to fix my serve in 1 hour. And so nobody really has time to get better at the game. So everybody gets to about mid B, low A in Alta terms, and they just flatten out. And they stay there for 30 years. They play tennis in Atlanta. And I really feel like if there was one season where people could just say, hey, we're not going to have matches for the next 3 months, and you actually had time to say, hey, we're going to have time to actually work and develop our game and work with somebody to say, hey, I don't have a match. I can actually change the grip of my serve. I can actually learn how to hit a slice backhand. I can actually learn how to hit a topspin forehand, or those kind of things where people could actually grow in the sport. I think that it would be way better, and I think people would enjoy it a lot longer. Because I think where we lose people in tennis is they start out at a low level and they see this great incline of play. They see this great increase in their abilities, and then they flatten out. And once they flatten out, it gets a little bit less exciting for them. And If their friends all stay in it, they stay in it. But if their friends start to dissipate too, then we lose them because they don't have that time to actually work on their game because they're so afraid they might lose their next league play match, which in Atlanta happens every day. So to me, that's what I think would be my thing is I would call out one of the leagues for one of the seasons and have 3 league seasons instead of 4 in the Atlanta market. So there's actually a time to work and improve your actual game and your play.
Bobby, a
Big fan of that.
social tennis off season. What do you think?
I used to say more white columns, but I used to say, look, USTA is the season we practice. We want to win dinner plates. Like Matt said, probably every place else, it might be different, but here Alta is king. So we would play for the dinner plates. And I would say the same thing because, and I completely agree. And Matt, we kind of alluded to it before we went live. So they don't know exactly how old we are. But, in the 80s, there was a business term called the PETA principle, which within an organization, you would rise to your level of incompetence. That's what Alta is based on. You're going to go as far, then you're going to plateau. And now it's up to you to decide, do we improve or are we happy with the social aspects of it? And unfortunately, with the dynamics of a neighborhood changing, people coming and going, you lose, if the dynamic of the social changes, you lose tennis players and that hurts our income. So I think if we could create that environment where learning becomes just as much fun as playing,
Yeah, and I think the leagues have even done not really a great job in Atlanta to where there used to be some gaps between the leagues where when Alta ended, you had about 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something of break between that when USTA started. Well, now City Finals Alta is one Thursday, USTA starts the very next Thursday. Like then they've spread out the leagues to where for some reason now we play one USTA match and then we take a break the very next week in May. And then we go back. Like, why don't we just start after that break instead of having that one match in the middle of May? That would give 3 weeks so people could actually work on something. So I think that's something that we could really work on because people just don't get better because they're not willing to make a change because they're so worried they're going to lose their next league play match.
So
yes, it's
I
hard to
joke with people here. I say, I'm a good pro. I'm not a miracle worker. I can't fix everything in your game in 1 hour.
Well, and so in that case, Matt, just quick question. You're king. Can't you just implement a non-season at your club and say, I'm sorry, guys, you are not allowed. We're picking winter, whatever it is, right? We're not allowed to play league. We're not going to do it here. Are they just going to go somewhere else and find it? Like, is that the problem? Because you could just say, this is our club. This is how we do it. This is time to get better.
Now, if I'm going to be king, I got to be king of the entire city so that I can just shut it down citywide. If I just shut it down in my club, you're probably going to be seeing me looking for a new job next week and just asking to see where I can go next time. Because if I take tennis away, they're going to lose their minds. But yeah, so I would have to be king of the entire city where I could just say, hey, citywide, this is not happening.
Between all of us, thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.